If you've ever wondered why obscure and lackluster movies keep winning prestigious awards, I'm about to explain how and why we got to this point of lame and over-politicized award shows.
A soliloquy for every movie, from Casablanca, Tommy Boy. He's here, it's him, it's Andrew Toy. It's Andrew Toy.
In this video, I'm going to point out for you the exact moment the Academy Awards became irrelevant, thus devaluing the Oscar gold. Entertainment award shows weren't always as lame and pathetic as they are now. Every year in the 90s, it was our family's tradition to order Subway or a pizza and eat dinner on the living room floor watching the Academy Awards. The Academy Awards was like a Christmas special we looked forward to seeing every March. And up until 1999, the Academy Awards were fun, classy, and all-inclusive. Well, it kind of got all-inclusive in 1940 when they sort of started letting black people attend the ceremonies. Watch my Song of the South video for more of that. But if anything, you were at least almost guaranteed to recognize many of the films that were up for the awards. It was a time when Billy Crystal dominated the stage with songs and hilarity, and Whoopi Goldberg even had charisma. It was a time when no one had to fear getting slapped, and no warnings had to be given to the elite to keep their hands to themselves during the show.
We want you to have fun, we want you to feel safe, and most importantly, we want me to feel safe. No, but seriously, the Academy has a crisis team in place.
It was a very different time indeed. It was a time where even I, as a kid, had seen all of the movies that were nominated, so I myself had strong and informed opinions as to who should win. But everything changed in the final moments of the 1999 ceremonies, which took place at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion in Los Angeles. Now, before I get into it, here is an abridged list of movies that were nominated for Best Picture throughout the 90s. Never mind what won the Oscar, just pay attention to the types of movies that at least got recognized for their greatness. Dead Poets Society, Field of Dreams, Goodfellas, Ghost, Awakenings, The Silence of the Lambs, Beauty and the Beast, A Few Good Men, Unforgiven, The Scent of a Woman, The Fugitive, Schindler's List, The Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, Braveheart, Apollo 13, Jerry Maguire, Fargo, Titanic, Good Will Hunting, As Good as It Gets, LA Confidential, Life is Beautiful, Saving Private Ryan. I love all the movies I just named. They all deserve the nomination, if not the award. But then there's also Shakespeare in Love. In 1999, when Harrison Ford read the Best Picture nominees, it was almost a given that Saving Private Ryan was going to take home the award that night. No one bet against it, except for the people that made this movie. Academy Award ceremonies used to be the equivalent of an award-winning movie today. It was predictable. Connect the dots. If somebody won a Best Director award, then ultimately that was going to be the movie that won Best Picture. Yet we all tuned in to watch Saving Private Ryan take home several of the 11 nominations because that movie deserved all the accolades and the praise. But before I go on, let me show you a sneak peek behind the scenes. Set the stage, if you will. Unbeknownst to anyone watching that night, something was off. Not obvious at first, not enough to raise alarms, just little things. Whispers, rumors that had been floating around Hollywood for months. Quiet comments like, after the first 24 minutes of Saving Private Ryan, the movie tanks. It was an amazing opening, but then you get to sleep for the rest of the movie, eh? Nothing loud, nothing official, just enough to plant a little bit of doubt. And that doubt started spreading, because something unusual was going on behind scenes. For one thing, this wasn't just a movie campaign anymore. It suddenly morphed into a political campaign, or more appropriately, a whisper campaign, where you badmouth your opponent in order to get your victory. Shakespeare in Love had a massive, unusually aggressive push, far beyond what most Best Picture nominees had ever seen. We're talking about private screenings being organized all over the country, even in retirement communities, filled with older Academy voters. Screeners and DVDs were mailed out en masse on the cheap. Publicists personally calling Academy voters just to check in.
Last name Jazz, first name Hugh.
Hold on, I'll check. Hugh Jazz!
Not promote, not advertise, but to persuade. Because the movie they were pushing wasn't just any story. It was a story about actors and the stage. A movie all about their world. And this appealed to the vanity of the Academy voters. And so it didn't just entertain voters, it flattered them. It tapped right into their vanity. So all that was happening, and there was also star power behind this film. The actors were being sent out almost like campaign surrogates, shaking hands, attending events, making appearances, reminding voters how important this film really was. By the time award season rolled around, Shakespeare in Love received 13 nominations. That's more than Braveheart had managed to get just a few years earlier. So back to the Academy Awards. The first surprise of the night was that Tom Hanks didn't win Best Actor for Saving Private Ryan. But it was okay because he had a worthy opponent in Roberto Benigni for his masterful self-appointed role in Life is Beautiful. Another film that I think a lot of people would have been okay winning if Saving Private Ryan couldn't win. And Roberto Benigni, ever the performer, ran up to the stage, not down the aisle, but on the backs of everybody's chairs to accept the award. And if you weren't crying by the end of his acceptance speech...
And also I would like to thank my parents in Vergaio, in the little village in Italy. They gave me the biggest gift, poverty, and I want to thank them for the rest of my life. Really, but thank you, Mama and Papa. Thank you.
Then you were probably one of the people rooting for Shakespeare in Love all along. And we needn't feel too bad for Tom Hanks. At least he didn't lose to Kevin Costner or Pauly Shore. Then Steven Spielberg won Best Director for Saving Private Ryan. And in the footage, you can see the audience rising to their feet in solidarity and approval.
Am I allowed to say I really wanted this?
And if you knew anything about these award ceremonies, you knew that this was the time to turn off the TV and go to bed. Because like I said, when a director won an award, what immediately followed was that director's movie winning Best Picture. But that wasn't the case this night. As the beloved director disappeared behind stage with his Oscar, the last Oscar he would receive as of the recording of this video in 2026, the show winds up for the big climax. And Harrison Ford takes the stage with the most important envelope of the night. He names the Best Picture nominees.
Elizabeth. Life is Beautiful. Saving Private Ryan.
No one can deny that Saving Private Ryan was a cultural phenomenon that redefined a genre. And Shakespeare in Love? That was just another in a long line of Shakespeare-centric fan art.
Shakespeare in Love. The Thin Red Line.
Pay particularly close attention to Harrison Ford's face here.
And the Oscar goes to...
You know he's anticipating the moment when he, Indiana Jones, gets to reunite with his former director and present him with the Oscar for Best Picture. But even before he says the name of the winner, his face says it all. Someone on the Shakespeare in Love team admits that that was the moment they knew that they had won. And look how disappointed he is when he says the name.
Shakespeare in Love.
This moment right here that we're looking at, this was not just an upset. It was a strategic move on a 3D chessboard. Shakespeare's Best Picture win was strategically engineered. And what no one watching at home knew was that behind the campaign, behind the screenings, behind the calls, behind the whispering, behind the perfectly placed doubt was one man. Harvey Weinstein. If you'll notice, there's no standing ovation like there was for Spielberg's win just moments ago, and I don't think that's because people's feet hurt. Now keep an eye out for this man who you know by now is the Hollywood terror Harvey Weinstein. This is something every intern and aspiring actress should have been told when she pursued a career in Hollywood. Now watch Weinstein as he pads his fat pockets. Looking like a nervous child, he's making sure his 4 pages are still with him. And if you know Hollywood hierarchy, you know that studio heads never go up to receive an award. That's reserved for the producers of the film. But Harvey Weinstein, not that anybody knew who he was at the time, justified his producer role by stepping down from his executive duties just so he can call himself a producer for the film. This is something many staff members claimed was BS. It wasn't perfect, but it used to be, you make a good movie, enough people love it and vote for it, you win. With exceptions, you can see that through the films that have won over the past years. Harvey Weinstein even convinced Hillary Clinton to host the premiere of Shakespeare in Love, politicizing the film and giving it much more coverage than it should have gotten.
This is just typical behavior.
And think about the people he pit against each other. He pitted Steven Spielberg against his goddaughter's own movie. He pitted Matt Damon, who played Private Ryan, against his former co-star and writer Ben Affleck, who played Ned in Shakespeare in Love. He burnt bridges just so he could get what he wanted at the end. And if you're sitting there thinking that everything needs to have a campaign, that's the only way you're gonna win, in 1976, Rocky won Best Picture without a single dime for advertising. And I know the world and the structures have all changed, I get that, but Harvey Weinstein did a lot more than just campaign for his movie. He downplayed the competition. So this wasn't an award given because Shakespeare in Love was a great movie and the makers were confident in its material. No, Harvey Weinstein was so desperate for his movie to win that all he could do was just talk trash about the competitors. Now before this night, it was agreed between the producers of Shakespeare in Love that if they did win, 2 of the producers would go up to the microphone to represent the rest. But Harvey and Bob called the producers and threatened the producers in order for Harvey to have his time at the microphone. Look at Harvey Weinstein on stage looking like a child whose lines are coming up next in the school play.
And, David, come help me here for a minute, please.
Well, we'd also like to thank Universal, who with Ed and Mark started all of this, and Miramax, who had the courage to finish it.
And then the awkwardness of making room for this monster to come through and stand at the microphone. Edward Zwick, who conceived of the idea of Shakespeare in Love, was ousted on the stage because Harvey hated the guy and he even fired him from directing his own movie.
To make this picture and get it done, here he is. Say a few words.
Gigalotti makes room for Harvey to step up to the microphone and have his, well, more than 2 minutes of fame. You see, acceptance speeches are allotted 2 minutes maximum. Let's run the clock on Harvey here until the music boos him off the stage.
This is on film. This is on thank you. This is my pleasure to show off. Great attitude and support. And yours, Rothman, Ron Meyer, Stacey, Bobby Bronson, Christopher, and Miramax. My great officer, Ross, 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 so good. Julie Elsing, who is most persevering, executive producer too. Bob Osher too. Mark Dale, Mark Ronaldo, one of the 2 most valuable marketing team. Okay. I don't make this movie.
This is a movie about life and art and life combining is called magic. For me, this was a great experience, a passion for 5 years. And nobody inspires me more than my brother Bob, who's my partner and best friend every day. My loving wife Eve, my 2 rotten kids, Lily and Emma. My beautiful nieces, Sarah and Nicole. And my mom, Miriam, the Miriam of Miramax, who makes Jewish mothers look good. Okay, and the rest of this guy. Thank you.
His little speech took 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and if you know anything about TV and producing, every second in TV counts as an eternity. So what a selfish sleazebag. Later, some of the crew members from Shakespeare in Love said that that night after the ceremony was the only time, the only day or night, any of them had ever seen him not yell and scream at people. But the next day was business as usual as Harvey Weinstein stormed into the office like a drill sergeant, yelling at them to convince the press that they were innocent and this wasn't a smear campaign and they didn't do anything wrong. That they did not, in fact, cheat Steven Spielberg and DreamWorks out of the Best Picture award. So why talk about this? It's rich people giving gold to each other, because it used to be fun. It used to be something that not just celebrities took part in, but everybody who loves movies. We got to gather around the TV one night a year and watch our favorite movies be represented and given the awards they deserved. And award shows are more than just your favorite movie winning a Best Picture. It's a time capsule and a screenshot of the culture in that moment. Are you really going to tell me that American Beauty, which won the next Best Oscar award, was better than The Sixth Sense? I mean, really, Kevin Spacey masturbating in the shower, that's what we got in that movie. And a couple of slips like we saw from Shakespeare in Love the year before. You're telling me that in 2003, Chicago was better than The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, or Gangs of New York, or The Pianist? Or in 2006, when Crash won over Brokeback Mountain? Just kidding. That one I don't think had any good movies that year, except maybe Munich. And in 2009, I don't hate Slumdog Millionaire, but it's definitely not better than Frost Nixon. In 2010, you're going to tell me that The Hurt Locker was better than Up and Glorious Bastards? So you see what I'm getting at. Why do these singular studio heads get to decide what our culture looks like at certain points and what is the best piece of art for that given year? How do we measure a best movie? Now, I would say we would look at the box office numbers, but if we did that, we'd have to say that a Minecraft movie was the best movie of 2025. And I don't think anybody is willing to say that. But look at all these sites we have where normal people like you and I, we get to go and vote and score the movies we just watched. The celebrities can still have their award shows and pat each other on the back. But let's at least be realistic as to what the best pictures actually are in a given year. Because the best picture movies are the ones that take a screenshot of our cultural anatomy for that point of time. And I'm sorry, but Honora and Amelia Perez, these are not movies that represent our culture. Once in a while, we still get a good movie slipping through the cracks and taking home the gold, such as Oppenheimer in 2024. Now, a complete travesty would have been if Barbie took the nomination home. And yes, that was considered. It was nominated. Now, I'm not saying that comedies and fantasies shouldn't be nominated, but I don't think Barbie is something that should be a best winner contender. If we're going that route, how come Anchorman didn't win back in 2005? So if you're suddenly wondering why award shows have been so bad over the last few decades, now you know. Now you know why you turned them off 5 minutes into it, because you're either offended or it's stupid or you don't want to see people get slapped in the face. Now you know. And you know the guy who started it all. He was guilty of a whole lot of things. And this is one of them. And I do want to point out that Harvey Weinstein was not the first to campaign for his film. That had been done before, but it wasn't a mainstay. That was more of an outlier. Now it's just the thing they do in Hollywood. They're trading hands, passing money back and forth. Hey, vote for this one. And just like a presidential election, no one knows the actual answer anymore. Anyway, what is the movie that you thought was least deserving of Best Picture, but won it anyway? Let me know down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. But then there's also Shakespeare in Love. Shakespeare. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next movie.